Chris Eubank Jr. will be facing off against Benn, but who wins this? Watch this video. Hello, welcome to Tommy Eds, and I hope you're all well. So as we know, we've had the press conferences, the shenanigans, the egg gate of Chris Eubank Jr. against Benn, and the promoters getting into it, and it's all getting really feisty and everything. They're trying to build this fight up into something that it just really isn't. If you watched my previous video when I talked about this, but this video is purely about who's going to win it. Who's going to win this fight? Now let's just think about this logically. Chris Eubank Jr. has fought at a higher level than Benn. It doesn't necessarily mean he's a better boxer, but he's fought at a higher level. Benn as well, he's had these 2 years, of course, of relative inactivity. He had those two fights, not really convincing wins, but he had those two fights when he's supposed to be banned. But, you know, he hasn't really set the world alight, has he? And he hasn't fought for anything. He hasn't got any titles, any regional, national, you know, in the British. He's never fought for anything. Whereas Chris Eubank Jr. has. At least he's fought for it. So who wins it? Who wins? Well, on the basis of their records, you would imagine that Chris Eubank Jr., he's got to win this, right? Okay, let's just think about the weight. Well, the weight difference, these two. One's a 147, one's a 160, 168, really. You know, there's a big difference here of what they usually fight at. So I would say, just on the weight differential alone, one's going to be set at that weight, one's going to have to come up and, you know, maybe have a little bit more power, but maybe not have the stamina and maybe just not have the effectiveness that he would have at 147. But I think you've got to go with Chris Eubank Jr. on this as well. Regardless of pound for pound who is the better boxer, this is kind of because it is a bit of a nonsense fight, because it's a catch weight fight, because it's just, you know, there are restrictions in place and rehydration clauses, because, you know, it's the father's reinvention, as it were, rather than these two boxing each other on their own merits. So you've got to go with Chris Eubank Jr. Well, this is my opinion. I'm going with Chris Eubank Jr. on that. As I say, not because pound for pound, I think he's a better boxer, but I just think all the advantages are in his favor. You know, everything is in his corner. Whereas Benn, I just don't think he's got it. He hasn't proven himself, certainly proven to me that he's better than Chris Eubank Jr. So the final thing I want to talk about really is the way Chris Eubank Jr. dealt with the press conferences. He really wound up Benn. Regardless of what he might say afterwards, Benn got really wound up, whereas Chris Eubank Jr. is very calm, collected, you know, and he's the master of promotion, right? He's really done them up like a kipper here. He's set them up for a big fall. And I've said this in a previous video as well. If Benn comes out, arms are flailing, you know, just going straight for Chris Eubank Jr., headhunting him, he's going to come unstuck really, really quickly. Chris Eubank Jr., all he has to do, keep a level head, keep boxing, keep it at range, let him tire himself out, let that adrenaline, you know, take over and get the better of him. And then he has to just take him out in the 6th or 7th round. Now, will he do that? You know, what will happen on the night? I don't know. I don't have an official prediction, as it were. But I'd say you still got to favour Chris Eubank Jr. for that. I think everything is in his favour. But on the other hand, you kind of think, okay, well, could a smaller guy, who's probably more aggressive, the bit between his teeth, can he really do it against somebody who's, you know, you sometimes question whether he really wants to be in boxing or not, or whether he's just there for the money. You think he's just there for the money. He's older. You know, he's coming to the end of his career. The young buck coming up. If they were the same weight and always fighting the same way, I would say, yeah, Benn's got a much better chance. But, you know, that's the problem. The weight differential, the difference in experience, the difference in being there in the big occasion, whereas Benn hasn't. I think it's all going to play into Chris Eubank Jr.'s hands. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Who's going to win? Who knows? But I'll tell you what you can do. You can click on the links below on the website for all the sporting books that I've got on the website, revelatehealth.com/books, boxing scorecards, football books, whatever you like, it's all on there. If you like what I do here, just keep on watching the videos, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.